Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is a very passive aggressive type of energy, which is kind of actually fascinating. I hate this. I hate this about my sidereal chart. My sidereal Mars is actually in Cancer, but we don't know her. I do not acknowledge that part of myself. What do you mean? My Mars is in Leo, okay? My Mars is in Leo, which means I'm assertive. I go after what I want. I am passionate. If I feel something, everybody's going to know about it. And if I want to fight, I want a crowd. I want to let the people know, gather around, because shit's about to go down. You know what I mean? There is no passive aggressiveness here. Children, simmer down. Yap therapy is in session. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day whenever it is that you are listening. For me, it's Thursday. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here. And honestly, let's just start with a little vibe check. How is everyone doing? Are you guys doing okay? What are the vibes? What's the energy like? If you feel comfortable, comment it down below. Let me know what kind of energy you're working with today. This episode, we're going to get a little deep. I'm going to talk to you guys about some of my trauma, which is just so fun. No, but truly, I feel like whenever I do take that courageous step and share my trauma or just share what it is that I'm working on, and, you know, what led me to take on this trauma, I do feel like hopefully if it connects with even just one person, that's all that matters to me. And also selfishly, it's very, very healing for me to be able to talk about it because then I can release it. And, you know, sometimes you guys comment back with some amazing insights and we connect in that way. So that makes me very, very happy too. So yeah, today's episode is going to be a softer, more vulnerable episode. So if you are down with that vibe, then stay along for the ride and let's just get into it. I want you guys to know that, you know, this channel is always a safe space. Always, always, always. And one of the most important beliefs that I like to share with anyone I meet, whether it's my closest friends, random strangers, you guys definitely, is that healing is not linear and that you can very much be a confident person who values themselves and still be dealing with the trauma of your past and still be going through the healing journey. You know what I mean? I think the biggest misconception about confident people or healed people is that they're fully healed or that they're always confident, which is definitely not the case. It's just not possible. We are all dealing with some demons, you know, some inner demons, and some of us are courageous enough to admit it, and some people just refuse to acknowledge it. Some people are drowning, you know, in their sorrows and their demons, and I don't judge that either because I've been there. You know what I mean? At some point in your life, you are there. You don't have the tools to be able to pick yourself back up or to even have an idea of what is happening. You know, sometimes, a lot of times at the beginning of your spiritual journey or before you even start a spiritual journey, you're just drowning in your trauma. And it's not like you have the self-awareness to be like, oh, this is trauma. Oh, I'm going through shit right now. You're just in it and you're living it, you know? So no matter where you are in that journey, I want you to know that this is a safe space for you. And I don't judge you. You know what I mean? I think that is the beauty of this world. We are all living in different chapters of the same old story, which is life. And some of us are, you know, still healing. Some of us haven't started healing. Some of us are going through it. Some of us are doing better. Either way, you're welcome here. And yeah, let's just get into it. Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but these past few months with Mars in Cancer and Mars in Cancer in retrograde has been a bitch. To be completely honest with you, it's been a bitch. It's been a bitch because if you didn't know, Mars in Cancer, Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is a very passive aggressive type of energy, which is kind of actually fascinating. I hate this. I hate this about my sidereal chart. My sidereal Mars is actually in Cancer, but we don't know her. I do not acknowledge that part of myself. What do you mean? My Mars is in Leo, okay? My Mars is in Leo, which means I'm assertive. I go after what I want. I am passionate. If I feel something, everybody's going to know about it. And if I want to fight, I want a crowd. I want to let the people know, gather around, because shit's about to go down. You know what I mean? There is no passive aggressiveness here. But with this long ass Mars in Cancer transit that we had, that is finally ending, I believe today, if you're watching this on Friday, April 18th, thank God that it's ending today, because that just makes me so happy. I just genuinely feel like we can all finally just go after what we want, have the energy of the universe backing us up. You know, that fire energy. What would we be doing as a society if fire sign energy did not exist? Like, truly, I just have to let you know, I have one planet that is in a fire sign in my chart, and that is my Leo Mars in the 8th, which, you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but, you know, Mars being in the 8th, where it likes to be, truly one of my favorite placements. But also every day, I am grateful for that Mars and Leo in my chart, because truly, fire energy in your chart, that's the shit that gets you going. That's the shit that gets you moving. That's the shit that fuels your passions. You know what I mean? It lights a fire, a literal fire right under your ass. And I'm so grateful to finally be, you know, living in the Mars and Leo energy that is happening right now, because just, going back to the past few months, I feel like I have been internally at war with myself, and things have just been happening where I feel like I am fighting against, not actually fighting, but like it feels like I'm fighting against this fear of authority that I have. Like, that is going to be the main topic of conversation in this episode. One of my traumas that I'm still very much healing from is my fear of authority and just my problem with authority. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, you know, that I deal with these authority issues. Saturn is my chart ruler. But what's annoying about this healing journey is that genuinely, I thought that I had dealt with this. I really, really did. I thought that I had dealt with this trauma, and that is the thing. It gets you. And these past few months, I realized it is still very much something that I'm dealing with. And the worst part of it is, you guys, it messes with my nervous system. It brings me anxiety. I am someone who is in this era of trying to completely calm my nervous system so I can lower my cortisol levels, so I can just be a happy, you know, joyous person that is living life and is very much in tune with the energy of the universe. I don't want to be in a rush. I don't want to overexert myself. I want to assume the best is going to happen. And you know, when your nervous system is at ease, that is when you are able to manifest the fastest. That is when you're truly living your best life, you know? You're not in a rush to do anything, and you're just kind of expecting the best because you are truly just living in the present moment, right? Because a lot of anxiety comes from living in the future, and when you are focusing on the present, that is when your nervous system is very much relaxed, right? And I've just come to realize that every time there is an issue with authority, and authority can be anyone. It could be a boss, it could be your parents, even if you're an adult, you know? And you get a text from your parents. Let's say you don't have the best relationship with them, or you do, but you still have this fear of authority, and you get that little bit of anxiety. That is something that I still deal with, not with my family, not really with my mom, but definitely with other authority figures. So when I get a text, you guys, I feel the heart palpitations. You know what I mean? I always assume the worst, and 95% of the time, it's nothing big. But in my mind and in my heart, I always assume the worst because I have this fear of authority. And I'm still very much trying to combat that in my life right now. You know what I mean? And I think this Mars and Cancer transit really brought that to the forefront of my mind, how I'm still very much, you know, fearful of what people in positions of power can do to me, you know, which is crazy because I am an adult woman. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm very confident. You know what I mean? I'm very confident in so many ways. I trust the universe. I do the work to be confident. And that is the crazy part about healing, is that yes, I have all of these tools that I have created for myself and my lifestyle to be confident and to heal and to trust in the process, but still I have certain trauma that just pops up out of nowhere and pokes at me and tells me, hey, this is still something that you're dealing with, and this is a pain point, and I don't know if you're ever going to get over it. That is a lie, because I know I'm just going to continue to get better at it. I don't know if it will ever go away, but I know that I will continuously, you know, work on it and heal that part of myself. But it's just annoying. Truly, it's annoying because I just feel bad for my own body. I feel bad for my own soul, because I put it through so much every time, I get anxious or stressed whenever dealing with some sort of authority figure, which is crazy because genuinely, actually, I have the dog in me. You know what I mean? Like, I can truly, truly, truly hold my own. I can be sassy. I can use the best verbiage to put someone in their place. Truly, I am able to stand up for myself, and I do. But I still, little Sarah, my inner child, she's freaking out on the inside when my fear of authority is taking over, right? It is little Sarah that is screaming at me and is anxious and is scared of what is about to happen. Although adult Sarah has done the work and she's confident and she's able to stand up for herself, little Sarah still has a pull, And that's what it is. That's the trauma that I need to heal. I need to really heal that part of myself. I need to let little Sarah know, like, it's okay. I know you experienced really, really bad things with authority figures in your childhood and in your teenage years, even in your young adult life, but that doesn't mean that they are going to ruin your life. That doesn't mean that you have to watch your back every time someone in a position of power has to say something to you. You know what I mean? Like, it is not worth your entire nervous system breaking down every time you get a text or an email or whatever from someone that has some sort of power over you. And I say that in quotation marks because truly, yes, these people in positions of power, people who have authority, over you, yes, they can do things that can affect your life. But truly, 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 most of the time, unless it's the law, you can, cut yourself off from them. Whether it's a job and you feel like they are being a bully, you can leave. Whether it's your family, you could do no contact. If it's a friend, cut them off. Like, all these people in positions of authority, really, you just have to remind yourself, yes, you have to deal with it, but also if you don't want to deal with it, you don't have to. You know what I mean? You're not stuck anywhere. And that's something that also I need to remind myself. And even just thinking about, my relationship with authority, it has shown up in my life in my early years, a lot of times in school. So when I was in Iran, I went to school in Iran for a year, right? And at that time, obviously, after the 1979 revolution in Iran, everything changed because now we have these religious leaders that have taken over our country. And my family, among many, dealt with religious persecution. We were a religious minority, right? So it wasn't always easy. It definitely wasn't easy living in Iran. And I was young. So, the stories that my older siblings have and my mom have and older family members have, those are crazy. But even just the 1 year, the first grade that I went in Iran, it was truly a horrible experience. Horrible, terrible. That was my first year going to school, first grade. I was one of two of the students, one of my friends. Thank God for her. I hope she's doing great. We were the two girls that, were part of that religious minority. And when I tell you we were ostracized, we were so ostracized. We were ostracized to the point where it was just the two of us, you know what I mean? And it wasn't just us. Like, if there were like parent-teacher conferences, they treated our parents, the staff, the faculty, they treated our parents horribly with disgust, So I have these core memories of that happening. And then when we moved to Turkey, so when you are immigrating from Iran to America, you can't do it directly, obviously, because Iran and America don't have the best relationship. So we actually had to go to Turkey. And that was when all of our paperwork was coming together, right? It was getting approved. And that takes a while. It always takes a while. It really is a case-by-case situation. But for us, it took a year. So my older sister was already in America and she sponsored us, the rest of our family, in Turkey, right? And then in Turkey, so obviously because we were there for a year, they were like, Sarah, like, you should go to school. So they put me in a Turkish school. I don't speak Turkish. And what happens? The same thing happens. I am completely ostracized. I don't speak the language. I'm being bullied, but I don't even know what they're saying. You know what I mean? So it's like, can you really be bullied if you don't know what they're saying? All I'm saying is the vibes were not right. I can tell you that the vibes were not right. And I already had that trauma. My dad had just passed away. So there was a lot of trauma already unfolding. But then dealing with this and dealing with these authority figures, again, in school, that I felt like, did not understand me and did not have my back. Again, one other experience with authority where I just didn't trust it, and it scared me. And then we moved to America. And obviously for my first few years here, I was in ELD. So ELD is like basically when English isn't your first language and you're still learning English. So I felt kind of separated in that sense too. And that was hard, you know? So it just always felt like I was an outsider in so many ways from the beginning stages of my educational career, right? And it was a lot. So I dealt with that, and it was bad enough that I felt like bullied and ostracized, but what's worse is I just never felt like the authority figures in schools did anything about it, or even just made me feel safe enough to go and talk to them about it. You know what I mean? Like, for example, in middle school, I was always late for school, and I have a good reason. So my family, I remember, I think one car at that time. So I don't want to get emotional. So because of that, my brother would obviously drop off my sister and then my other sister, and then it was my turn to go to school because they had to go to work, right? So they dropped me off last to go to school because, they were further away. And because of that, I was always late. And I remember just showing up late, and my home ed teacher was just always, catching an attitude with me. And I guess she was doing her job, but also I kept telling her, like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I have no control over this, like, this is just what my life is, you know what I mean? And I just remember every time I was late, again, my nervous system completely in shambles. And I just tried to explain to her, like, why I'm in this situation, and there was no grace, Everyone just, misunderstood my situation, and at that point, I was just over it. I was just over everything, and I was so over feeling powerless. That's what I felt for a majority of my life, you know what I mean? And, it fits the stereotype of Scorpios, the trauma that we go through at the beginning stages of our lives. And then obviously I go to high school, and that is when I really started to form my core group, and with people that I genuinely felt connected with, you know what I mean? Like my friends that till this day I, still talk to, So that is when I really started to feel a little bit more empowered, and was able to stand up for myself, because I realized it's just not going to happen for me. I think it's so different when you're an immigrant, I mean, everyone's different, I know, but like when you're an immigrant, your parents aren't going to come to the school and like talk to your teachers. Like my family like never came to like parent teacher conferences. So there was just always a disconnect, and I just always felt like I had to do things on my own, So that again is where I also started to lose trust in authority. So there is this fear of authority, and then there is this loss of trust for authority, because authority in your younger years is supposed to provide safety for you, hopefully. You know what I mean? And I didn't always receive that. And I'm not saying my family made me feel unsafe. My family's amazing, but they were dealing with their own. You know what I mean? They were trying to make it too. They are adult immigrants. They were the ones paying the bills. They didn't have time for all of that. So I give them so much grace for that. And just moving on to corporate jobs, I had this really, really bad experience at one of my corporate jobs. Literally, I've had such amazing experiences in all my jobs, but this one boss, she was truly a see you next Tuesday. Until this day, I try and heal myself so I don't think about her and see red, because truly, 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 I hope, see, all the work I did, all the progress I did, thinking I don't give a fuck about her, gone out the window, because I'm getting triggered just thinking about her right now. Again, she was one of those authority figures, because it was kind of my first job out of college where I felt like I was abused, literally emotionally abused, crying before going to the office every day. It was a horrible, horrible experience. Again, an authority figure that I felt very powerless, towards, and that triggered me back to what it was like, in my childhood and early years, because I hadn't experienced that in college as much, you know what I mean? So that was rough. And even just tying that back to astrology, I feel like when you have Saturn as your chart ruler, you want to be taken seriously. You want to feel like you are doing everything on your own and that you don't need help, right? So I think this fear of authority really perfectly ties into that, because if I can just impress these authority figures, if I can just show people how great I am, how smart I am, how self-sufficient I am, then I don't need them. But then in the back of my mind, I still want to impress them. And you see where that problem is. It's like I'm working towards, being the best version of myself, and that's a great thing. But also in days where I don't show up as the best version of myself, I am almost scared that someone is going to come and take all the good things away from me in my life. And I know, you Capricorn placements know what that feels like. You Scorpio placements know what that feels like. When you have gone through trauma, when you have, trauma related to authority figures, that is where that fear comes from, right? You're scared of these authority figures having so much power when it comes to you that they'll come and take away the things that you love. Like, I was always scared of, my education being taken away from me, them completely throwing me out of the school. I mean, that's what I thought was going to happen in first grade because we weren't accepted because of our religion. That's what I felt like in, Turkey because I couldn't speak the language. And then in America, obviously, it was hard assimilating into a new culture, So all of that to say, it's hard. It's honestly hard to deal with this trauma that I still have. And every time I think I've overcome it, something happens with an authority figure where my blood pressure starts going up and I get anxious. And I really, really, really am trying to do the work to be able to combat that and get rid of this feeling of, is someone going to come and take away every good thing I have? I don't want to feel that way. As I continue to grow spiritually, financially, career, all of it. You know what I mean? I don't want to have imposter syndrome. I don't want to have this fear of the more I get, the happier I get. Someone can possibly come and take it all away. But that is very much a fear that I still have. And it's honestly debilitating. It's so annoying because when you have everything that you want, when you finally achieve, your goals, or when you are in a happy relationship, thank God I dealt with the relationship part of that, the love aspect of that. I know what I deserve and I have that, but it was something that I dealt with, But this is something that I still deal with in other aspects of my life where when it gets good, there's this voice inside of my head that truly tells me, hey, at any given point, this can all be taken away from you. You know what I mean? So don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable because there's always this looming authority figure that is going to come and take it all away from you because you are powerless. That is the voice that is inside my head when I am not operating, at my highest vibration. And that is kind of what has been happening during this Mars and Cancer retrograde. You know what I mean? I felt like I was fighting against this internal demon that kept telling me that all the things that, I have will soon be taken away from me. And I hate that. It's rough. So if you are someone that also deals with that, if you are someone that is constantly watching your back, whenever something good happens to you, you're scared of it being taken away. I just want to let you know that you are not alone. You are not alone. I know how shitty it feels. I'm right there with you. And what we have to do is to continue to remind ourselves that we deserve the best this world has to offer us. Why not us? And to continue to regulate our nervous system and make sure that our nervous system is resting at a calm place. And just tying it back to what I said at the beginning, I consider myself a very confident woman, you know what I mean? And even with all of my success and growth, spiritual growth, all of that, survival mode still is whispering in my ear. You know what I mean? It's just a trigger. It's a trauma that is still very much embedded into my soul. And it just makes me human. You know what I mean? So I want you to know that as well. And I think, I forgot where it was. I was watching a video that said basically, the more you grow, whether it's in your career or whatever, the more you grow specifically in your career, the stronger your relationship with imposter syndrome gets. You see how sad that is? The better you become, the more successful you become, the more likely you're going to have imposter syndrome because you are now going to be in these new spaces with new people. You're killing it. You're growing, right? But then your mind is telling you, should I be here? And that freaking feeling gets stronger and worse the more you grow, which is so sad because you would think now that you're growing and evolving and you have these opportunities to be around smart people, you know what I mean? That means you've made it, that means you're great, that you deserve to be here. But really, if you have not healed these parts of yourself, imposter syndrome will take over and then you will start self-sabotaging, or your nervous system will be in shambles. And now, even though you're physically there in a room with people that, can further your career, that can teach you even more things, you can't show up as your best self because imposter syndrome has taken over. Your nervous system is giving you clammy hands. You can't really speak. You can't really express yourself in a way that makes you feel confident. So everything you did to get there, it's almost like for nothing because of these inner demons, you know? So that's why it's so important to do the shadow work and to be honest with yourself about what trauma you're still carrying with you till this day. And sometimes you just don't know that you are still. Like, that is exactly what I'm saying. I really thought I had combated and won, against my fear of authority. And no, the universe said, no, girl, it's still here. It's still here and it's still waiting to show up when you least expect it. And I hate that for me, but at least now I know, and I can hopefully put some practices into place to be able to deal with that better. And more than anything, what I want you guys to take away from this is to normalize these feelings. You know what I mean? Don't think that you're alone. I think a lot of people, more than you would expect, a lot more than you would expect, deal with these things, deal with imposter syndrome, deal with the fear of authority. Everyone's scared of their boss for the most part. Some people love their boss, and some people have great bosses, but because of their fear of authority from their past, they fear their boss, and I just don't think that's a way to live. Well, already I hate capitalism, but you don't want to show up to work and be scared of someone just because they're your boss. You know what I mean? But I also understand why we're scared and why we feel this way, because let's be honest, your job provides you with financial security and stability. So the thought of not impressing your boss or your boss being mad at you is scary because they potentially have the power to take away your stability. So I completely get that, but that's why it's so important to, relax your nervous system and trust your intuition, because truly you will always be okay. You will always land on your feet. If you are in a toxic work environment, or if you have toxic friends or whatever, you know what I mean? You need to get yourself out of that place. Because if you're constantly walking on eggshells, no matter who it is, your nervous system is a wreck. Your nervous system is not doing okay. Your cortisol levels are high. And when your cortisol levels are high, you are truly showing up at your lowest vibration, You truly can't even manifest. I recently learned that in order to be able to manifest, you need to be at your most relaxed state, which makes sense, you know what I mean? But I think if you really think about it, a lot of us, let's say we are annoyed or we want something and we want to manifest. I want to get this thing. Let's do it, because you're sick of your current circumstances, right? And that comes from a place of desperation, and you can't do that. So if you are in a place where your nervous system is regulated and you're relaxed and you're trusting the universe, and then you manifest something, that is when it will come to you the quickest. That is when your vibration will align fully with the thing that you want, and it'll be a magnet, You will be magnets that come together with such ease. So if you are like me, where a lot of times, you are afraid that you're one mistake away from losing everything, just know that you are not alone. Truly, that is something that I deal with. Again, I think it comes back to my Cap rising and how hard I am on myself. I just honestly need to be softer to myself and understand that if something's not meant for me, it's not meant for me anyway. You know what I mean? And if something's going to be taken away, it's going to be taken away. I have zero control over that. Like, that's also another thing that I need to remember. But in my head, this voice, this fear in my head tells me, hey, act right, because if you make this mistake, guess what? They can take this away from you. If you do that, anyone can come and take it away from you, which is why I get anxiety whenever I get an email or a text from any sort of authority figure, because in my head, that fear is almost like, okay, this is it. This is the time they're going to tell you that they're going to take away everything that you have, and that is just so not the place that I want to be. It's just not. I'm a creative at heart. I'm a healer. I'm a life path 11, the master healer. I'm meant to be living a life filled with ease in order to be able to heal people and to connect with people. But when I am living in this state of fear, or when I'm scared of things happening to me all the time, there's a disconnect between me and my purpose. And I don't want that anymore. I do not want that anymore. And honestly, this ties perfectly into a post that I recently saw on Instagram. I'll post it here. It's by the account Accept and Act. It said, if you can't be shamed, You can't be controlled. And the way when I read that, I felt like a full body, like I was revived. Everything I've gone through, healed. Depression, healed. Anxiety, healed. No, but truly when I read that, I was like, yes, 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 yes. I want to get that tatted on my forehead. I'm not going to do it. But that's how much that resonated with me. Truly, 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 because shame keeps you silent. You know what I mean? Shame keeps you silent. And when you speak up, that is when you take back your power, right? If you have this fear of authority, if you're always scared of, bad things happening to you and everything being taken away from you, you need to talk to someone about it. You need to talk to someone about it. Do not let that be something that you carry with you internally and don't share with anyone, truly. I mean, I'm sharing it with you, but also the people in my life, the people closest to me, know that I deal with this, fear of authority and this problem with authority that I have. And a lot of times when we're always scared or fearful of disappointing people or of people, taking control of our lives, making us feel powerless, that is when we are silent, because we assume if we're silent and if we're quiet and if we just follow the rules, then we'll just get by. You know what I mean? Like, as long as I'm not on their radar, I'll be okay. A lot of the smartest people, it's been proven, a lot of the smartest people who actually should be getting the promotions don't get the promotions because they're not speaking up, because they're not forming these connections, because they don't believe in themselves. And that's so sad. A lot of people that get promotions, I literally saw a study that said a lot of people that do be getting these promotions are the people that are building these connections with the bosses. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times when you are, scared of authority or you have imposter syndrome, obviously, you are completely self-sabotaging. You are taking away your own power. I mean, you're giving away your own power, all because you're scared. All because you're scared of what might happen. And sometimes I feel like when we are ready to take the next step, to elevate in life, to ask for the promotion, or to get a bigger house, I don't know. You want to do the thing. You want to take it a step further. If you're still dealing with this imposter syndrome or this fear or whatever, you tell yourself, what if I'm overdoing it? What if by trying and by wanting more, the thing that I have now is going to be taken away from me? You guys know what I mean? I think a lot of times people stop themselves from asking for more because they're almost embarrassed or ashamed, or they feel like they're doing too much. They're like, well, what gives me the right? You know what I mean? If I ask the universe for this, does that mean that they're going to think I'm greedy and that I want too much? Again, these self-limiting beliefs that we have taught ourselves, we have to unlearn. You have to unlearn, because if it's meant for you, you're going to get it. And 9 times out of 10, I want to say 10 times out of 10, the universe, it rewards courage. You know what I mean? So you cannot downplay and sell yourself short all because you're scared that if you ask for more, the universe will now take away the base of what you have now. And please remember, as I'm saying this to you, I'm also saying it to myself, that, the authority that we experience on the outside, the authority figures that you have, around you or whatever, it does not define your soul's authority. You know what I mean? Your soul's authority is quite literally out of this world. You know what I mean? No one has authority over your soul. We are all here for some sort of purpose. You know what I mean? And no matter what, no matter how powerful people are, how much money they have, whatever role they have in the corporate world, no matter what executive they are, we are all getting buried 8 feet under, right? So while people may have some sort of power over you on this planet, when it comes to our souls, it's very much an even playing field. So every time you get scared of someone having power over you, or you're scared of them taking away something that you have, and you're scared of just their presence or whatever, remind yourself that their soul has no authority over your soul. You know what I mean? And when you claim the power of your soul, when you claim whatever it is that your purpose is, I think that is when you'll be able to tune out these authority figures, because you're trusting the universe enough to know that it will always put you in a path that will protect you and that will keep you safe and that will create stability for you. The main authority figures that I think scare people, correct me if I'm wrong, are when you're in school, are teachers, right? Faculty. And then when you grow up and you're older in your professional life is like your boss, right? Like those are the main authority figures. But I want you to remember that if you are following your heart, if you are staying true to yourself, if you have a good soul and you're just a good person, good fucking person who is trying to figure this life out and is trying to heal themselves and shows up in the best way that they can every day, trust me when I tell you, the universe is going to make sure that you're always okay. So you do not need to be scared of these people taking anything away from you, because whatever they take away from you, thank you. They're literally doing the Lord's work and are clearing up your life for the universe, God, whoever you believe in, to give you your next blessing, to give you your next come up. You know what I mean? And unless that shit gets taken away, the shit that does not align with you anymore, there is no room for the good shit, you know? So there's always that. And now I'm going to give you guys 2 affirmations that I like to repeat to myself. And if you enjoy them, you can do it on the daily, or you can just say it even once now, or maybe you'll write it down because you like it so much. I want to give you these 2 very powerful affirmations that help me, and then hopefully can help you too. So the first one is, my power is not dependent on anyone's approval. My power is not dependent on anyone's approval. Really, really embody that energy, because it's not. You already have all the power within you that you need to succeed and be happy in this world. Don't let energy leeches take that away from you. Don't let these authority figures who get a high from putting you down take that away from you. Second affirmation, everything I've built is protected by divine force. Everything I've built is protected by divine force. And I truly, truly love this one, because this one relates back to that trauma of at any given point, I'm one mistake away from everything being taken away from me, you know? And that is a very valid fear for someone who has lived in survivor mode, you know? When you have lived in survivor mode and you haven't healed, you haven't fully healed from that trauma, you think that at any given point you're going to be back there. And it's very scary, because once you get out of survivor mode, you know, once you experience a better life with more ease and you have the things you need and you're not fighting for everything that you need, it's scary thinking that you're going to be walking backwards, that you just might be back in those circumstances. It's very scary. I really, really, really want to validate that. That's something that I deal with too, a lot. The universe wants you to have all the things you need to thrive. It really, really does, you guys. The universe wants you to have everything you need to thrive, because when you're thriving, I've said this before, when you're thriving, that is when you are embodying your purpose on this planet the best. That is when you are the strongest and the happiest, and your nervous system is at ease, which means you can truly sit there and be like, it's time to completely embody my purpose. I feel so relaxed and so at ease, and I have the perfect amount of time, and I have the most loving people around me, that now I can focus on myself and my purpose. You know, that is why the universe wants you to have all the things that you need, because listen, if we are all the employees of God, the employees of the universe, right? His soldiers, he wants us to have our breaks. He wants us to have everything we need in order to do the best job. Our job being our purpose, you know? So when you are at ease, that is when you can show up and fulfill your purpose at its best. So yeah, in honor of this Mars and Cancer transit finally ending and us embodying this Mars and Leo energy, let me know if you can, if you want to, if you're courageous enough or you feel like it. Comment it down below. What's a fear of yours that you are conquering, or that you have conquered? Something that has been in the back of your mind for some time and that you truly, truly, truly want to move past because you feel like it's holding you back. Because I shared mine, and I would love to hear what yours are, or maybe you have the same ones as me. And to take it a step further, if you can or you want to, let me know where you think that came from. Is there a specific time in your life where you felt like triggered, that pain point for you? Because once you figure that out, then you can really get in touch with your inner child, the inner child that experienced that for the first time, and start doing the healing work to release that energy and that fear, And most importantly, you guys, be gentle to yourselves. Life already is hard. There's crazy people out there that need more healing than you. The planets are going crazy. The government, let's not even get started. There's so much external shit that is happening. The one thing you can do is calm yourself down. Be gentle to yourself. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? If you're having a bad day, remember that you do not have a bad life. You know what I mean? Be grateful for the things that you have. And if any of these fears or traumas pop up into your life, just remember that it's your soul and it's your heart calling out to you and saying, hey, this part of me is hurting. Can we fix it? Can we heal it? Can we work on it? Can I get a Band-Aid? Can I get something? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't. It just means that you're hurting. There's a wound. You need to deal with it. And the more aware you are of these, pain points and of these fears and traumas, the less likely you are to be controlled. You cannot be controlled if you are not ashamed of your fears. Shitty people in life like to throw your fears and if they know what it is that you fear, they like to embody that energy to control you, right? So if you get ahead of that, and if you know what your fears are, what your trauma is, what you are insecure about, you will not be controlled or ashamed when these shitty people try and throw it in your face, or when these people in positions of authority try to use their power to make you feel weak. You're not going to deal with that. You're going to rebuke that energy because it's something that you're aware of and that you're actively working towards healing. All right, you guys, that is the end of this episode. I know this one was a little deep and, I shared a lot about my history and my past. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope it wasn't too sad. I'm sorry if you wanted something more upbeat, but it just felt like the right conversation for me at this time. And I hope that it resonated with some of you. So please let me know if it did. Don't forget to comment and subscribe before you leave, like the video. And I love you guys so, so much. If you want more chats like this, let me know down below. Love you guys so much. Have a wonderful